It began like any ordinary afternoon in the children's wing of the city hospital. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and the steady beeping of monitors echoed softly through the halls. Nurses moved from room to room with practiced ease, while parents hovered near their children's bedsides, offering comfort with warm smiles and soft words. In room 314, Madison sat propped up by pillows, flipping through the same magazine for the third time. The 9-year-old had been admitted only 2 days ago, but with a burst appendix. She was looking at a full week of recovery. Her brown eyes scanned the hallway through the open door, hoping for something, anything, that would break the monotony. "Hello. Do you know which way is the hospital?" A voice rang out down the hallway, not from a nurse, doctor, or visitor, but a raspy, theatrical voice laced with mischief. Nurses turned their heads, surprised. Madison leaned forward, a figure in a tattered coat, wide-brimmed hat, and beads clinking from braided hair stepped into view. The man's walk was more of a swagger, like he'd just stepped off a creaky ship. He carried himself with flair, gesturing dramatically with every word. "Okay, thank you very much," he added to no one in particular, looking around suspiciously. Madison's eyes widened. "Is that Jack Sparrow?" she whispered. He turned suddenly. "Madison," he exclaimed, as if reading her mind. "Yes, I was going to guess that." A nurse giggled softly, and parents peered out of rooms with curious expressions. He stepped into Madison's doorway, leaned dramatically on the doorframe, and pointed a ring-laden finger at her. "Can you prove your name is Madison?" She blinked, speechless. "No matter," he waved. "I'll give you a test instead." Everyone was caught in the moment. A man, clearly an actor, had embodied Captain Jack Sparrow so convincingly. Even the adults forgot it was a hospital. "My name," he declared, "is what it rings on your leg with the sound so much time, Jack Sparrow." Madison blinked again. "Huh." He turned to a nurse. "How do you think I'm going to steal it?" The nurse shrugged, playing along. "Another hug?" "Correct," he clapped dramatically. "Another hug it is." He bent down to Madison and gently embraced her. Her smile stretched from ear to ear. The children in neighboring rooms were poking their heads out now, drawn to the growing laughter. One boy, still hooked to an 4-pole, shuffled to the doorway. Jack turned suddenly. "Hello, fool as you do," he greeted with a bow. "I come in peace." "That's me, Mum," a boy said, pointing at the woman behind him. "I'm not here to slash or stab, I assure you," he said, raising his hands. "Although I might dump a treasure chest somewhere, because I'm an irresponsible idiot." The parents laughed. "Are you threatening me, sir?" A dad called out, "Nothing below the belt." Jack replied instantly. Madison looked at the actor with something more than joy. There was wonder and hope, and the kind of magic kids are quick to believe in. "You stay right there," he told her, twitching as if feeling strange pains. "I'm getting these odd, twitchy signals. Could be aliens." Madison giggled uncontrollably. A nurse whispered to a colleague, "He's brilliant." Jack tapped on a plastic tray, like it was a compass. "Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?" "No," Madison said, laughing. "Me neither." "That's the best part." He strutted over to the bar area of the nurse's station. "Sensitive touch, this place," he said thoughtfully. "I wouldn't drink anything I didn't see poured by the resident pirate." Jack went from room to room, giving each child a moment. Some just waved shyly. Others, like Madison, couldn't get enough. He paused at the hallway again and spun dramatically. "Let's get down to brass tacks." A nurse responded. "Hi!" He gasped. "That's the right answer." Every person in the wing was smiling. "I'm going to guess that you're very patient," he told one little boy watching from bed. "I like movies," the boy replied. "I can't believe I actually set this up," Jack whispered to a nurse. "I must be mad." "You're awesome," Madison said softly. He knelt beside her. "Do you know why I do this?" She shook her head. "Because once upon a time, I met someone just like you, brave, brilliant, and stuck in a place they didn't want to be. And I thought, what if Jack Sparrow sailed in and made it a little more bearable?" Madison's eyes glistened. "Well," he added, "that, and the fact that my ship ran aground, and I needed a place to hide from the Royal Navy." They both laughed. "I'll be back, Savvy," he said. She nodded. "Savvy." He stood, looked around, and tipped his hat. "To the rest of you lovely people, I say this. Never let the world tell you what's impossible." The hallway erupted in applause. Jack Sparrow, whether the real one or not, had just turned an ordinary hospital afternoon into something unforgettable. As the afternoon sun began to cast golden shadows across the hospital windows, Jack Sparrow's visit transformed from a surprise cameo to a full-blown event. Nurses were now quietly rearranging their schedules to allow children a few extra minutes with the pirate. Phones were pulled out discreetly to capture moments, but no one wanted to break the spell. Madison, still glowing from her interaction, whispered to her mother, "This is the best day I've had since I got here." Her mother kissed her forehead, eyes misty. "He's something else, huh?" Meanwhile, Jack was in the hallway conducting an impromptu pirate school. He'd gathered 3 kids, including a shy girl in a wheelchair and 2 boys with matching bandages, and began teaching them the proper way to swagger. You must tilt the hips forward, let the arms dangle loose, and stagger as if you've forgotten how legs work, he said, demonstrating with an exaggerated shuffle. The kids laughed and tried to copy him. No, not like you're walking to school. Like you've had a particularly dizzy encounter with a bottle of rum. Apple juice, of course, he corrected. In a nearby room, a boy named Ethan watched through glass. He had been quiet all week, too nervous to speak much since being admitted for a serious infection. A nurse noticed and opened the door. "Captain," she called softly, "we have a lookout in the north cabin." Jack turned dramatically. "A lookout? Ah, we mustn't leave the watchman without company." He strolled into Ethan's room, kneeling beside his bed. "Permission to come aboard?" Ethan gave a tiny nod. Jack leaned closer. "That's a strong grip you've got there. Have you been practicing sword fights while no one was looking?" Ethan smiled shyly. "Excellent," Jack said, producing a plastic spoon from his coat. "And guard." The two fenced briefly, laughing, until Ethan's mother gently touched Jack's shoulder. "Thank you," she mouthed. He tipped his hat. Outside in the hallway, a small group had formed again. Jack turned to address them. Children, adults, medical professionals, and slightly confused janitors. "Lend me your ears." Not literally. That would be creepy. The laughter continued. "Now, let's play a game," he said. "You there." He pointed at a teenage girl in crutches. "Can you make the sound of chicken?" She laughed and clucked shyly. "That's wonderful. I have no idea why I asked, but brilliant nonetheless." He paced like a professor. "Next, I shall ask a very serious question. Can anyone tell me how many pirates it takes to clean a hospital room?" A child raised his hand. 4. Jack shook his head. "None. Pirates don't clean. We leave that to the parrot." Giggles rippled through the group. Then he noticed a quiet boy holding a book in the corner. "What's that?" "It's about black holes," the boy said. "Ah, black holes. I once sailed close to one," Jack said seriously. "Thought it was a shortcut. Turns out no. Took me 20 years to grow my eyebrows back." He sat beside the boy. "So, tell me more. Are they really dead stars?" "Yes," the boy replied. "Collapsed under their own gravity." Jack looked impressed. "Sound like me after a party." They both chuckled. A nurse approached with a gentle hand on Jack's shoulder. "Would you like some water?" "Only if it's got lemon." "And rum. But mostly lemon," he replied, following her to the break area. A girl followed and said, "Can I be your first mate?" He paused. "Are you good at steering a ship through emotional storms, finding laughter in foggy seas, and making sick kids forget they're sick?" She nodded enthusiastically. "You're hired." As the evening sun set behind the city skyline, Jack stood once more in the hallway and looked at each child, each parent, each nurse. "You lot," he said with emotion tucked beneath a smile, "are the bravest crew I've ever met." Then he tapped his hat, saluted, and said, "This ship sails with your hearts on board." Applause followed him as he turned the corner. But it wasn't over yet. By the time the clock struck 6, the hospital wing had been completely transformed. The sterile, quiet atmosphere had given way to laughter, imagination, and a sense of wonder that had been missing for too long. Madison, now sitting cross-legged on her bed, was no longer just a recovering patient. She was a deckhand aboard a pirate ship, scribbling down her own pirate code in a spiral notebook. Rule number 1, she wrote, tongue sticking out in focus. Every pirate must dance at least once a day. Across the hallway, the pirate school had grown to include nearly every child in the wing. From toddlers to teens, they lined up in makeshift costumes made of blankets, hospital gowns, and even 4-pole decorations. Jack Sparrow, still very much in character, paced like a commander surveying his crew. "We must prepare," he declared dramatically, "for the most important battle of them all, bedtime." The children groaned. "But," he continued, "before we surrender to the pillow monsters, we must complete the pirate challenge. You there, with the moose slippers, recite your pirate name." A small girl stood proudly. "Captain Cookie Crumb." "Excellent," he roared. "And you?" He pointed to a boy with a toy sword. "Dirty Tooth Dan." The room burst into laughter. Jack handed out treasure maps, hand-drawn doodles he created with help from the nurses, and told them they had 15 minutes to find the golden Band-Aid, which had been hidden under the nurse's station snack basket. As the children scattered, laughing and hunting, Jack took a moment to rest. He stepped into the break room and leaned against the wall, finally letting the mask of Jack Sparrow drop. For a second, his name was Ben, a local stage actor who volunteered with a children's outreach group. He had played many roles before, but none had meant as much as this. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small note, folded many times over. It read, "Thank you for visiting my son Leo last year. He passed away, but your visit made his final day magical. We'll never forget it." Ben closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and folded the note again. Just then, a voice broke the silence. "Mr. Sparrow, we found the Band-Aid." He straightened instantly, the swagger returning. "Well done, my salty sea dogs." The children gathered in the hallway again, holding up their prize like it was the Ark of the Covenant. Jack made a show of being blinded by its glory. "I declare this a victory," he said. "Now, as promised, the pirate dance." He took Madison by the hand and began spinning slowly, limping dramatically to the rhythm of a song one of the kids hummed. Soon the hallway became a dance floor. Nurses clapped. Parents recorded. Even a grumpy doctor cracked a smile. Then, without prompting, the kids began taking turns giving Jack something, drawings, handmade pirate flags, even a painted rock. "These are for your ship," one boy said. Jack looked at each of them, his voice thickening. "You have no idea how rich a pirate I've become today." Finally, he returned to Madison's room. "You, Captain Madison, are officially promoted to first mate of the Eastern Wing," he said. She beamed. "Does that mean I get to steer the ship?" "Only when I'm napping." They shook hands like comrades. Then her mother asked softly, "Would you like to take a photo?" He nodded. "Of course." Madison leaned against him as the camera clicked. She whispered, "This was the best surprise ever." Jack stood. "Remember this, mates. Even when the seas are rough, laughter is the best compass." Outside, the stars had begun to shine. The pirate had brought treasure indeed, not gold or jewels, but joy, distraction, and heart. And for a few precious hours, no one remembered they were in a hospital at all. The next morning brought with it a new kind of calm. The hallway that had echoed with laughter the night before now hummed with quiet conversation, breakfast carts rolling by, and the soft beeps of machines doing their silent work. But traces of the previous day remained. Children still wore pirate sashes made from gauze bandages. One boy refused to take off his paper eye patch. Madison had her notebook open again, adding a new rule to her pirate code. Rule number 12, never let a boring day stay boring. The hospital staff, still glowing from the energy Jack had brought, took their rounds with extra smiles and light-hearted banter. Ben, Jack Sparrow to the children, returned that morning out of costume, dressed in a simple shirt and jeans, hair tied back. He looked very much like a different person, but the sparkle in his eyes gave him away. He had planned to leave quietly. No fanfare, no attention. He walked past room after room, glancing in to see the kids he'd played with. Many were asleep. Others waved through the glass, still half convinced he'd come back with a hat and sword. At the end of the hall, he paused outside Madison's room. She was awake, sitting up with her mom, her pirate flag resting beside her. He knocked softly. "Permission to come aboard?" Madison looked up and smiled. "Only if you're here to swab the deck." Ben laughed and stepped inside. "I did want to leave without saying goodbye," he said. Madison's eyes flickered with understanding. "You're not Jack today." "No," he admitted, "but I'm still the same guy." She nodded. "That's okay. You don't have to be Jack all the time. You already gave us the best part." He sat beside her bed. "And what was that?" "The part where we forgot we were sick." Her mom turned away to hide the tears. Ben pulled something from his pocket, a small, handmade compass. "This was a prop from one of our plays," he said. "Doesn't point north, but maybe it points to something else." He handed it to Madison. She held it gently. "It points to fun." He smiled. "Or maybe to hope." Madison took off a bead bracelet and handed it to him. "To remember us." Ben stood and saluted. "Captain Madison, it's been an honor." He turned to leave but stopped at the door. "Oh, and tell your crew, if the Royal Navy comes looking, I was never here." She laughed. Aye, Captain." As Ben walked down the hallway one last time, the kids began to stir. One by one, they peeked out of rooms. A boy called, "Bye, Jack." Another added, "Come back soon." And then a chorus, "Jack, Jack, Jack." Ben turned, gave a slow, theatrical bow, and disappeared around the corner. Later that week, the hospital released a short video of his visit. It went viral. Messages poured in from families, schools, even other hospitals asking if Jack could sail into their wards too. But for the kids of that hospital wing, it wasn't about a viral moment. It was about a memory. Madison returned to school 2 weeks later. She brought her compass with her and shared her story with the class. No one believed her at first, until the photo. To them, it was just a cool picture. To Madison, it was proof that magic was real.